And what I want to bring you guys today is this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And despite the very cheesy name, which I recognize, it is a great book. It is the first, not the first, but one of the first books I've ever bought as far as self-development goes, as far as business goes. One of the books that really got me started on my journey. And the funny part is that it is this exact book. I'll try to maybe zoom in or take some pics. The corners are scuffed. There's a bunch of highlights. And yeah, I bought it 6 years ago. It's been with me through all my journey, through my my travels, through the ups, through the downs, through all of it. And I recently got back into it, and I want to highlight one of the habits for you today. I think it is one of the habits that will have the most impact, because I know it's one that had the most impact on me. Now, that is habit number 3, which is to give priority to what is most important. Now, when hearing that, you may think immediately, oh, but I already do that. Of course, I'm going to prioritize what is most important. Of course, I'm going to do the most important things. However, we tend to confuse urgency with importance, and they are not the same thing. Now, there's urgent things that are important, but usually the things that really drive progress forward, the ones that really are going to allow us to scale our progress, to get past our plateaus, are the ones that are very important, but they're not urgent. They're not things that are just calling for us to go and do them right now. They're not like a phone call, like an email, like a bill that has to be paid. Those are putting out the fires and have to be done. But then it's more about the, thinking of how to get more clients, how to charge more for my clients, how to overcome this plateau in the gym. How do I, do I need to change my plan? Do I need to do different exercises? Do I need to gain more weight, lose more weight? It's really about what are these things that they're not urgent. We can keep going the rest of our lives without doing them. But if we get to them, then progress just, skyrockets, just scales beyond where we are right now. To do this, meaning to prioritize what actually matters, to stop doing just what is urgent and actually focus on these longer term important tasks, what we have to do first is divide things into quadrants. And this is something the author talks about. It's one of the main tools I got from this as well, which is, and I'm going to put the pic on the screen. It's probably easier to understand if done so, or even maybe I'll record the book. So as you can see, there's 4 quadrants, and they're divided by urgency and importance. So number 1 is urgent and important. Number 2, not urgent and important. Then the other 3 is urgent and not important. And finally, the 4th, the worst one, which is not urgent and not important. Now, most people spend it on 1, which is what is urgent and what is important. It is, the phone calls, the emails, the paying the bills. If we're talking about, in a business, and I need new clients because otherwise I'm not going to be able to pay my bills at the end of the month. It is these very urgent things that have to be done. They demand our attention almost immediately right now. And these are the things that we stress about, that, we get overwhelmed about, that usually things that have a deadline that is approaching quickly. Now, this is where most of our time is spent. And while they have to be done, if all our time is spent here, we'll never progress past where we're at, because we're just going to keep doing the same things that are keeping us at this level. And so if we just do that, we're always going to be at this level. Now, moving over here to number 2 is where you want to be at as most as you can. What you want to do is really minimize the time you spend on quadrant number 1 through delegation, through removing what's not important, through planning ahead of time, to doing things earlier, to then allow you to focus on quadrant number 2. Now, to give you an example of how we can actually go from quadrant number 1 to number 2, I'm going to take here a business example. And I'm not going to use, something that's just fully online. I'm going to use a bakery. So let's imagine you are the owner of this bakery. You sell bread, you sell cakes, you sell coffee, just a normal bakery type of stuff, like a Starbucks, but not super commercial. Now, if we look here, you're going to have a lot of quadrant number 1 tasks. You got to, let's say you're a sole owner of this, you got to open it every day very early. You got to, make the bread, you got to receive the cakes, you got to put everything so it's pretty. You gotta then, maybe your employees arrive, you gotta instruct them on what to do. Clients start arriving, you have to serve them. They pay, you give the cakes, give the coffee. So there's a lot of things that demand your attention right away. Most things in this scenario are going to be quadrant number one, tasks, habits, things that demand your attention there. And then if there's a rush hour, you're just fully focused on that, you have to be there. And because of this, what tends to happen is that people that are in this scenario don't usually focus on quadrant number two. Things that are going to allow to scale, things that are going to allow to, hire more people to free up your time, which then you free up your time, allow you to better optimize the whole process of, how optimized the work, which then frees more time for them. It's faster, you can sell more. And then once again, it just allows to push everything forward and forward and forward. But how do we do that? How do this person in this context goes from overwhelmed with urgent tasks and gets rid of them, step by step? The thing here is, initially, it's going to require more effort, because initially you're still going to have to do all these quadrant one tasks. You still have to go there very early and open it and, make the bread and receive the cakes and do all of these things. So what you want to do is that after you've done all of these things, what you want to do is dedicate, and you start small, dedicate a certain amount of your day to quadrant number two tasks. The first step is identifying what these tasks are. So if it's a bakery, and I even wrote here some of those tasks, it would be, for example, creating a systemized hiring process, optimizing marketing campaigns to drive more traffic, creating a loyalty program, scouting new locations to then open, hiring a manager so you can step away, stuff like this. Now, what you do is you write these things and then you order them in order of importance. And in this case, the order of importance is usually the order that allows you to free up more and more time. So if it's for the bakery and I'm the person doing everything, the first thing is, how can I stop doing everything? How can I free up my time? Because if I free up my time, then there's this thing that is making money sort of passively, in a way that I don't have to put effort because I'm paying other people to put effort in, and then allows me to actually earn money through my problem solving, earn money through the power of my mind, and not of just doing these menial type of tasks, which, nothing wrong with that. I've had shitty jobs, we all had, but the more you progress, the less you want to do those. The more you want to be able to step away and earn with your mind, not just with your time. So here, in this case, I would likely start with hiring someone to replace me, a manager. And so I'd have to, first of all, create a hiring process for this. What are the characteristics I'm looking for? What are the key skills that the person needs to have, personality-wise as well. And then just write all these things. So I'd start there. Once I have that, and I can just go and move on to the next step, would be, I was going to say interview, but it's going to be advertise this position. I could do in the local newspaper and Instagram ads targeted to my, this local audience through maybe LinkedIn, maybe not so much. But I would go ahead and do that outreach. So the next task would be figuring out what is the most optimal way to find that manager. Once I have that, and I have, I'm going to do through ads on the newspaper and Instagram ads. Then I'd be like, let me plan. How am I going to start that? How am I going to do these things? What creatives do I need? What's my budget for this? Then that would be the next task. And then if you start doing those, maybe this will take, if you just have a few months per day, maybe this will take like a month or something, or 2 months or more. But slowly, the more you chip away at it, it will get to a point where you're hiring the manager, someone to replace you. And now you've replaced yourself, and maybe you're earning less because you have to pay them, but now you have more time. And with more time, what this allows you to do is to go over to the more money-making tasks, which would be, how do I actually gain more money per customer? What cakes are selling the most? So I'm going to optimize those to have more of those. Maybe I'll increase the price of the coffee. Maybe I'll have other coffees that cost more and people want more, and I have more profit on those. After that, now I can focus on bringing more people to the coffee shop. Maybe I can, do marketing campaigns. I can have someone giving flyers, someone, starting a loyalty program so people come more often to here, focusing on these things. And then you do those enough, you can open another location and then another. And so essentially you compound the results for your time. You make your time more valuable. And the only way to do that is to be able to step away from the urgent tasks, slowly. In the beginning, it's going to be hard, but the more you do it, the more you'll earn, the more you'll progress, the fitter you'll be, whatever the pursuit is, the more you will progress, the more you can focus on the quarter two tasks. And you do this long enough, month after month, year after year. Initially, you're not going to see that much progress. Initially, it will feel a bit pointless, a bit useless. You'll have to grind a bit through it. But the more you do that, the more you compound the next action on top of the previously in the direction you want to go. And it will be not if, the question when you're asking if you're going to get to your goal, it's going to be about when. And then when you get there, you're going to set up a new goal, and the question will remain the same. When will I get to my goal? Because you're doing the right actions, you're focusing on what truly matters to progress. And the main thing here, and I'm going to keep it in the business sense, you're increasing the value of your time. So meaning that the more you work in this context, not only the more you're going to be able to cash out, but the more you're also going to increase how much you're going to be able to cash out in the future. I end here with a beautiful quote by Peter Drucker. It really gets to the core of what we're talking about here, which is, there is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. Thank you for watching.